Hey guys, so tonight's video is going to be just a little bit different. We're going to use Play Pause It tonight just to see how well you understood the things we did last night and then again today in class that we reviewed. So you're just going to see a series of questions in this Play Pause It. I'm going to give you time to answer each of these questions as we come up on them, and then after you've had a chance to answer them, I'm going to walk through the solutions. So if you get it right and you understand it perfectly well, unfortunately, you're going to have to sit tight for a minute or two while I walk through the explanation. But if you don't get it right, make sure you're correcting your work in your notebook as you're doing this. Cool. So let's take a look. This is our first question. 4 minus 3x is less than or equal to 16, or 5x is less than negative 40. And I'm going to give you some time right now to go ahead and try to answer that question. Good luck. So for those of you that maybe didn't get the right answer, I'm going to go ahead and walk through this question. So the first thing we're going to do on the left here is we're going to get rid of that 4 with a minus 4. And if we do it on the left, we're going to do it on the right. And that's going to give us negative 3x is less than or equal to 12. I'm then going to divide both sides by negative 3. And because I divided by a negative, my inequality has to change. It's going to go from a less than or equal to into a greater than or equal to. So we have x is greater than or equal to 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4. In the other side of our OR, we have 5x is less than negative 40. We're just going to solve that with one step. We're going to divide by 5, and we're going to get x is less than negative 8. And we want to be careful here with that, that we weren't confused in this step and changing that sign. There is a negative involved here, but it's not being divided by a negative. It's being divided by a positive. In this case, it was positive 5. So the inequality should not change directions. When I go to graph this solution on the number line, we're going to be careful that we put the numbers in the correct way. We're going to count down with those negatives, so negative 10, negative 8, negative 6, negative 4, negative 2, something like that. On the negative 8, we should have an open circle, and the reason for the open circle, of course, is that it's not allowed to equal negative 8 here. And then on the negative 4, we're going to have a closed circle, something like that. We're going to graph all the things that are less than negative 8, and that's everything to the left. And we're going to color in everything that is greater than negative 4, which is everything to the right. And that's going to create two distinct or separate intervals here. Okay, we're going to have our interval first that's going to run from negative infinity up to negative 8. And then we're going to write a union with the interval that starts at negative 4 and runs to infinity. Cool. So let's try another question here. This question says half times 4x minus 10 plus 5x is less than or equal to 28. I'll give you a little time right now to go ahead and try to answer that question. Cool, so hopefully you weren't too stressed out with that fraction. This is a pretty easy fraction to deal with. Half times 4x is 2x, and half times negative 10 is negative 5. So we're going to go ahead and write that. We'll combine our like terms here. 2x plus 5x is 7. X minus 5 is less than or equal to 28. We're going to add 5 to both sides. And we're going to get 7x is less than or equal to 33, and we will divide both sides by 7. That's going to end up giving us x is less than or equal to 33 over 7. Now you may have been asking yourself, well, how do I graph that? How do I graph that point, 33 over 7? We've got to think about how many times 7 goes into 33. And of course, it goes in more than 4 times, because 4 times 7 is 28. But it doesn't quite go in 5 times. So we're really looking at 4 point something here. So when we go to graph it, we're going to write our 4, and we're going to write our 5. And our point, our solid dot's going to go somewhere between that 4 and that 5. In this case, it happens to be a little bit closer to the 5 than the 4. I'll write a couple more numbers in there. And we're graphing everything that is less than that number. So I'm going to go ahead and shade in my line everything less than that. And when I write my interval, and this is an interesting part here, when I go to write my interval, I'm going to write, we're going to go from negative infinity up to, we're stopping at 33 over 7. So when we try to figure out where we're stopping, we're not actually going to look at that point because we don't know exactly where that point is, other than if we go back to our original answer, we see that point was 33 over 7. And then, of course, I used a bracket, and I used a bracket because we are including that number 33 over 7 here. All right, let's look at another one. In this next question, we have a compound inequality of an AND statement here, and you can solve this either way, either in the one-step method I showed you today in class or 2 steps by splitting this equation up. But go ahead and give that a chance, give that a try right now. Alrighty, so I'm going to do this using a one-step method. So I'm going to go ahead and recognize that there are really kind of 3 parts to this equation, and I'm doing that by putting those imaginary lines down those inequality signs. In the middle, I'm going to start simplifying, and that's going to give me 6x plus 2 less than 26, and we have 14 over here with a less than. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2 from the middle, and if I subtract 2 on the middle, I'm going to do it to the left and the right as well, since there's 3 parts here. And that's going to give me 12 is less than 6x is less than 24. And then I will divide everything by 6. And I'll end up getting x is between 2 and 4. How is that going to look? Well, x is right between 2 and 4, not including 2 and not including 4. So it's going to look something like that. And then, to write our interval, we'll just write from 2 to 4, something like that. All right. If you'd used the 2-step method here where you split this into 2 separate equations and solved it, that's perfectly okay, as long as you got to the same answer. And oops, I'm looking back at this now and I see that I missed a sign here. We should have had a less than sign there. Cool. So that looks good. Let's try one last question tonight, and then that will be the end of your homework for this weekend. Our last question is 6x minus 2 parentheses 2x minus 10 is less than 10. Go ahead and give that a try. All right, so hopefully you finished this off on a strong note. Let's take a look just in case. We're going to distribute that negative 2, and we're going to get 6x minus 4x plus 20. That's probably a place that tripped a couple of you up. Remember that when we multiply negative 2 times negative 10, it becomes positive 20. So don't make a mistake there. We're going to combine our like terms. 6x minus 4x is 2x plus 20 is less than 10. Take away the 20 on the left and the right. We're going to get 2x is less than negative 10. If I have 10 and I take away 20, I end up with a negative 10. Divide both sides by 2, and we end up getting x is less than negative 5. And that might have been a place that also tripped a couple of people up. Remember here, our rule is when you divide by a negative, you change the direction of the inequality. In this case, we were not dividing by a negative. We were dividing by a positive number. We were dividing by 2. So the inequality should not have changed directions. When I sketch the graph, I should have an open circle on negative 5, and I should be graphing everything that's less than that, something along these lines, everything less than negative 5 here. And then my interval is going to run from negative infinity up to negative 5, and neither should be included here. Hopefully you did pretty well on this homework assignment. I hope that we have a lot of people who got 3 out of the 4 right, or maybe all 4 right even. And if that's the case, then we're going to kind of proceed on Monday with some new stuff, and we'll get into some groups and work on that. If we need a little bit more help with this on Monday, then we'll figure that out as well. And also, of course, don't forget that I always have tutoring in the morning. So if you need to come in Monday morning or Monday during homeroom to ask a couple questions, feel free to come see me. I'm always here to help you guys out. So I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I will see you guys Monday.